Good morning to all of you. Welcome to the program agenda. I'm your host, Cito Beltran, and I thank you for joining us this morning, and especially for being subscribers of Cignal TV channels 8 and 250 and viewers of One News PH, of course. And thank you to PLDT for their support on our fiber optic internet. Okay, now today is January 4, 2021. Best to be sure about the dates. And it's a Tuesday, so we will start the day with our daily starter. But before that, before we bring that out, I just want to share with you why I've chosen this daily starter. It's because yesterday, kung kayo po ay medyo nanonood, nakikinig sa mga balita, checking with your friends, yesterday was a very disturbing day for me personally because I received so many requests for prayers. Even in my own Bible study group, there were at least 4 to 5 families who were asking for prayers because they suddenly all had COVID in the house. Okay, hindi na po itong I got COVID, she got COVID. It's now COVID in the house. And it was in alarming numbers. I've never seen anything like this. So I just want to bring this to your attention. And of course, many of us will be concerned, fearful. So I chose today's daily starter, and today's daily starter comes from the book of Isaiah 41, chapter 41, verse 10. Fear not, for I am with you. Be not dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you, I will help you, I will uphold you with my righteous right hand. Yun po ang reassurance ng Panginoon as our daily starter for this program. And I do hope that all of you take comfort in that. But at the same time, please put your mask. In fact, I posted on my Facebook account, double mask na po ang bagong standard. Okay? Double mask when you go out. Bring your alcohol, spray bottles when you go out there. The minute you come home, spray up already. Better to be sure and safe than sorry. Okay. Meanwhile, let's go to the front page of today's Philippine Star edition. And today's Philippine Star, the headlines: Metro Mayors, okay, mobility restrictions on unvax. Okay. Whether you like it or not, the 17 mayors of the Metro Manila Council have agreed that people who are unvaccinated cannot present a vaccination card, will not be allowed outside of their residences or premises except for essential. Kumbaga, bibili ng pagkain, pupunta sa doktor, but other than that, wala muna pong labasan yung mga unvaccinated. This, of course, is going to create a lot of questions, excuse me, and challenges, but we will be speaking with no less than the chairman of the Metro Manila Development Authority, Benhur Abalos, the son, to at least explain to us how this will be implemented and what the people who are unvaccinated can expect. Meanwhile, going back to the front page of the Philippine Star, another traveler apprehended for skipping quarantine. Meron po tayong tinatawag na si Poblacion Girl. Now, social media is talking about the massage girl. Hindi po siya masahista. She is a traveler from the United States who skipped quarantine and actually reportedly, allegedly, according to the DOT, even bragged online that she was having a massage, etc., etc. They finally caught up with her and she is now being quarantined. Meanwhile, the upper photo there in the Philippine Star shows a worker of the Quiapo Church spraying, okay, the worker at the Minor Basilica of the Black Nazarene in Quiapo, spraying the pews. Sinara muna po yung simbahan. The church has closed itself to parishioners from January 6 to give way to cleaning and disinfection. Meanwhile, the Philippines is back to high-risk classification according to the Department of Health. After 3 months of being low risk, we are back up again. But, you know, we are in the company of many other nations na lahat din po nagputukan ang COVID-19, particularly with Omicron. Okay, that center photo that you see there is a very sad, tragic reminder to all our viewers and readers of the Philippine Star that people are dying in this pandemic. And that is a photo of funeral workers in removing the remains of a patient from a Marikina hospital. Below that, you have the news. 70% maximum capacity for PUVs enforced. Kasi naman po, may mga jeepney driver, may mga ilang bus driver, nagtatanga-tangahan, utak kamote, sinasabing, ay akala po namin back to 100% na. Ayun, nagkakahabulan na po ngayon. So, please be advised, especially the operators, your units will be detained and your drivers will be issued citations if they violate the maximum 70% under level 3. Meanwhile, former na siya, FDA chief, Food and Drug Administration, former boss, Dr. Eric Domingo submitted his resignation or resigned his post. And it was effective yesterday, sabi po ni Executive Director, Director General, Eric Domingo, that it is time for him to move on to other things. And thank you, Dr. Domingo, because you served well. You actually weathered the storm. You were placed under so much pressure, but at least nothing to be ashamed of. In fact, your tenure was something to be proud of. Meanwhile, sad news again, that picture there, sad face picture, hindi emoji po yun. Yan po ay gamit sa eskwelahan. Empty school desk at the St. Mary Elementary School in Marikina as the MMDA and DepEd enforce the closure of those pilot face-to-face classes. Meanwhile, on the bottom left side of the front page, COVID-19 tally of Philippine cases. As of January 3 yesterday, the new cases reached 4,084. Okay, 4,084. Number of deaths, 16. So people are dying. We are down to double digit instead of triple digit, but people are still dying. So please do not put your guards down. Meanwhile, COMELEC spokesperson James Jimenez tweeted that political candidates should not be like the Poblacion Girl. Poblacion Girl meaning creating activities or being in generating events that could be detrimental to the health of your supporters. Kumbaga, magpapaparty kayo, magpo-political rally kayo, tuwan-tuwa kayo, padamihan ng mga attendees, yung pala, padamihan din na magkakasakit. And that corner, right side, right-hand lower corner of the Philippine Star, that story there, Iloilo School denies entry to 16 unvaccinated teachers. Okay. Please be advised to our viewers, even in the provinces. The level 3 restrictions is only for National Capital Region. However, the policy that unvaccinated public officials or employees in government, there is a policy na kung hindi ka bakunado, if you are not vaccinated, you can be refused entry in the premises and thereby require or demand that you have an RT-PCR test. Ayan na po. May mga nagmamatigas. There are people taking a stand against vaccination. And now, the government and officials are taking a stand against the unvaccinated because it's not against you, ladies and gentlemen of the unvaccinated division. It is for your protection because when you get sick, you have to go to the hospital. When you land in the hospital, you occupy so much of the facilities, and those who are vaccinated can't go to the hospital. So it's a choice. And unfortunately, now the government has decided no vax, no entry. Okay, before we move on, let's now, let me read. Okay, kasi good news po. Today, we decided to invite someone who understands gadgets. Kasi New Year, a lot of you are thinking, should I buy a new phone? Should I buy a new laptop? What things or gadgets are there that people are buying or thinking of getting? Let's go to the guest for today. He is the founder and editor-in-chief of the tech news site Jam Online PH. He graduated with the Bachelor of Science degree in Computer Engineering at Adamson University. He has been writing tech news for more than a decade. Let's bring in Mr. Jam Ancheta. Good morning, Jam.
Oh, sorry. Good morning, sir. Thank you for inviting me.
Okay, good morning. And huwag ka mahiya. That is the current irritation of online communication, yung nakamute tayo, nakakalimutan
Yes.
natin. I'm so guilty of that. Anyway, Jam, I suppose you know my agenda for today. The first portion of agenda today is to give people an idea of what's out there and what should they know. Kasi I went to Green Hills kahapon, nagtingin ako, and nahilo ako sa dami ng iPad, iPhone, laptop, and then now meron pa palang iMac mini or something. And well, anyway, Jam, could you just tell us what are the first things that people think of buying or replacing come January of a new year?
I think especially right now that a lot of us are working at home. So, yung best thing na palitan natin or if luma na yung equipment nyo is to buy something that can improve your communication to other people. So, if you have a PC or a laptop, you can buy a webcam or a microphone. Just be smart about it. No need naman na pinakamahal. Just something na okay yung magiging setup. And of course, sa mga medyo heavy talaga yung workload, syempre, better na meron tayong mas magandang PC, laptops, and tablets or smartphones, the best gadgets na talagang main or core ng gadgets na ginagamit natin for work at home.
Okay, now what are the rules? Because there are people who buy because it's a new year. Parang, may bagong model, bili na tayo. But for parents and, because kung ikaw yung bibili para sa anak mo, teka. But pag anak naman, sige na, it's a new year na. So is there a rule of compromise? Because my wife was on the web yesterday on the net, and she came across a guide where it says if your laptop is 5 years old, it's time to change. Well, my laptop is 9 years old.
Regarding that, actually, it depends on how you use your devices for work. For example, for me, I'm a heavy user pagdating sa laptop and also sa PC ko. So, I tend to have the best and most powerful na hardware sa loob. So, as for other people, kailangan lang naman nila is the basic Excel, the basic ones. I also use a 3-year-old laptop whenever in the province. Kasi nga, I don't need a really powerful laptop na sa province. I just need something naman na something that will work. So the best thing sa pag-purchase is it depends on how you use a laptop or a tablet. If you don't need, or if yung experience mo doesn't fit na doon sa parang hindi ka na nasa-satisfy doon sa experience mo sa isang device, better to buy one. Kaysa magkameron ng problema in the future. As for user, sabi niyo is 9-year-old laptop?
But para ka natataranta dyan.
No, actually, sir, the 9-year-old laptop naman is actually fine naman. Especially if I'm using, dati kasi I was using a Mac. Macs tend to have a longer life talaga pagdating sa usage. I was actually using a 6-year-old Mac before I replace it. Minsan kasi may mga devices na talagang tumatagal even that's a 5-year-old, 10-year-old devices. And again, depende talaga yon kung paano gagamitin yung isang device.
Okay, but what are the downsides of using a aging laptop, for instance? Kasi may sinabi ng wife ko, well, it's going to be slow, and then etc. Pasensya ka na, Jam, ako'y walang alam dyan. Alam ko lang umupo sa harap ng camera.
With regards to that, the problem is yung updates sa ating laptop. So if you, like, for example, Zoom, if you're using more than a decade-old laptop, probably Zoom will not run that well. Magkakameron ka ng problema sa mga basic apps na medyo modern na ngayon. Before kasi walang Zoom Before
Yeah.
walang mga Zoom, walang mga video call. So before, siguro kung luma na talaga, wala pang webcam and all. The problem is, yun nga, it's about the power that makukuha mo. Also, yung para sa akin is the security updates. If your laptop is old and medyo outdated na siya, wala nang dumarating updates. The problem is, wala nang darating na security updates. You are prone dun sa mga security risk. Maraming mga risk na pwedeng mangyari when you're using an old software or an old operating system. And of course, if you're using a tablet or an iPhone or a smartphone rather, na medyo luma na, wala nang updates, some applications and games cannot run doon sa certain operating system na hindi na na-update.
Okay, taking into consideration budget restraints, the fact that many people don't have jobs now, but the reality, you pointed out that an old phone or an old laptop or iPad will be susceptible to security risk kasi habang tumatagal, mas nagiging walang hiya at masyadong marunong yung mga kriminal. So they're able to break the firewalls, etc. ng mga ating gadgets. So, but how old is old? Kumbaga, ano ba sa palagay mo, especially with now? Kasi sabi na asawa ko, mabagal na. Some people will say naman, ay Cito, yung computer mo, hindi mo pwedeng kabitan ng kamerang ginagamit mo because there's already a mismatch. How old is old? Reasonably, Jam?
I would say na siguro for laptops and tablets, 5 years old is old. As for smartphones, kasi medyo mas mabilis yung trend natin with smartphones, I would say 2 to 3 years, you probably need to replace it ng mas maganda kasi nagde-degrade din yung battery ng smartphone, and smartphones are the ones that we are using talaga every day, so mas mabilis mag-degrade yung battery niya and mas maiksi yung battery life in the long run.
Okay, yeah, I saw that with my battery. I checked it. It's 83% performance level. Pangalawang baterya na yon. So, medyo, yung telepono, medyo, nung nagpunta ako sa Green Hills, meron ba kayong flip case para dito? Sir, phase out na po yung unit na yan. So, pag sinabi sa tindahan, phase out na, panahon ng magpalit.
Medyo, that's true, sir. Medyo kailangan na magpalit kapag talagang nasasabi na nilang phase out pag wala na silang gamit.
Okay, as far as, let's start with telephones kasi yan ang pinaka-popular na gustong palitan ng mga bata ngayon. And of course, there are children who are really using their phones for schooling, for remote schooling. Now, distance learning, I mean. What would be your rule para sa telepono, and what is the high-end, what is the affordable?
Okay. When it comes to that, it will always depend. I always say this sa mga naghahanap ng smartphones. If they're asking me, ano ba yung best smartphone? I will always ask them, ano ba yung gamit mo sa smartphone? Do you use it for gaming? Do you use it for Facebook lang? Do you use it for Twitter? Do you use it for the basic task? Ganon. As for me, if you want a flagship talaga, if you want the best one, I would go for a foldable smartphone. I have yeah, so yan. So I have a foldable smartphone here. I would always say na, okay, go for a foldable smartphone like this kasi you got a small display and then para siyang tablet na rin in one. It's powerful as well.
Ah,
And yun, mga katulad nito, portable din siya.
mga
So I
flip
would always go for that one. Yes, the flip,
mga
sir.
flip top, ika nga nung panahon namin, flip top
So medyo modern na
phone.
siya kasi the displays are the ones na foldable na talaga. So pwede nang i-fold and
Oo.
mas matibay na yung mga hinge niya compared before. So if you got talaga yung highest or the best one, you can go for the 70,000 budget talaga. Kasi smartphones, the flagship ones, go to ano talaga, sa 70,000 and up market. Meron pa nga 120,000 before. So nandun na yung market. But if you're just...
Sandali. Hahawak muna ako sa mesa ko. Nahihilo ko sa mga presyong sinasabi mo. 70 to 120,000 na reko
Yeah.
po. Okay, what about for the regular, average, everyday Filipino? Kasi maganda yung suggestion mo. Get the flip top because you have a front LED and then you have a opening on the flip na lumalaki yung screen inside. Pero paano naman kung yung wallet, kahit binulat-lat mo na, wala pang
Wala.
wala. Paano naman yun? Kasi may nakita ko and I don't know if you would even advise this, Jam. Yung bang installment, does it still make sense now to buy high end? Kasi you're right, no? If you want good usage, you want good equipment, buy the right equipment. But if you don't have the right budget, then your only alternative is to buy installment. What's your view on that?
Regarding the installment, so I'm not expert pagdating sa financial ano, pero
Oh.
my viewpoint regarding sa mga installment is I always go, okay, if that's installment na 0% interest, that's fine with me. Pero kasi merong tayong mga services na no credit cards needed. You can go for installment, sure. Pero they should take note na mataas yung interest na nakukuha nila. Yes, they can get the gadgets or the smartphones that they want.
Yeah.
Pero they should really look into ano talaga, yung interest talaga na pinapatong niya. Kasi malaki yung pinapatong niya from the SRP. So whenever buying gadgets, I always suggest na if you have the cash, go for cash. Kasi most of the time, retailers can offer you large discounts sa mga electronics if you're paying in cash.
Yeah, I noticed that with the TV. I was looking at the TV yesterday. Nagpapantasya ako. 30% ang interest for 1 year. So 30% on the SRP, medyo para kang nilaslas sa leeg, no? Okay, so you're talking about flip-top phones now for everyday use. Kasi alam mo yung flip-top phones na yan, baka matutukan ka pa ng 29 dahil maganda, no? Ano yung practical na telepono? What would be the ideal phone for 2022 as far as smart consumers go?
So for the Philippine market, tayo kasi ano tayo more on nasa 15 to 20,000 yung parang sweet spot natin na tinatawag dito sa Pilipinas. So a lot of smartphone brands are talagang doon tayo sa 15 to 20,000 na ano. Actually maraming choices, especially this 2022. This year is very exciting for smartphones. A lot of innovations, a lot of things are expected to be introduced this year. I think if you're buying a smartphone, what you should consider is, again, anong kailangan mo sa smartphone? Do you need, most of the time naman, nasa 15 to 20,000 balance na yung makukuha nating features dyan. So, it's either you focus on the camera, yung processor niya, yung kano ba kalaking display, or the battery. So, you really need to eye doon talaga kung ano ba yung kailangan ko. Then, on
ikaw,
that
Jam,
part na natin malalaman.
Jam, assuming ikaw, sabihan ko, Jam, ito 15,000. Punta ka doon sa tindahan, ibili mo ako based on your standards. What are your rules what's the first requirement or first thing that you check when you buy a phone?
So, as for me kasi, I want something that I can use na balance eh. The good camera, talagang I'm looking into kumbaga yung hardware na may offer niya. Hindi ako makikinig madalas dun sa mga pag pumasok kasi sa Green Hills or sa ano, sir, gusto niyo ba gantong brand, gantong brand. So talagang tinitignan ko most of the time, syempre, number one, iniiwasan ko is gray market kasi I really need the warranty. A lot of people are falling dun sa mga bumibili tapos masisira tapos wala palang warranty. So number one, I would look into the warranty. And of course, most of the time, ang inaano ko talaga, before I buy kasi smartphones, I always read articles, reviews, ganyan. So, I would buy something na yung narinig ko positive talaga ang response ng mga tao sa isang smartphone. Kasi mas marami may experience, mas maganda.
Okay.
Normally, I would go for the brands talaga na kilala na because the customer service talaga, wala kang magiging problema. And alam mo yung quality that you're getting sa isang smartphone is good naman.
Okay, marami kasing tambak ang tanong dito. I hope that the team will be ready and because we have so many questions coming in. Now, I have to ask you, parang speed dating muna tayo, Jam, no? Limited time
Sige,
ako dito. Okay, people want answers. Okay, so in terms of work from home setup, okay, what gadgets are considered essentials and why? Quick answer.
Webcam, microphone, of course, headsets, wireless if you want, and of course, good lighting if you want something na talagang okay for work from home, for better communication sa Zoom.
Okay, now they say that yung sa headphones or ear, like what you're wearing now, yung puti na baka akala ng tao hikaw, people are saying that wired is still better and cheaper. What do you say about that?
That's true. Wired are still better and cheaper. First, they don't need to charge it. They don't have any problems kapag nakasaksak na. But the problem is mobility. Syempre, lagi ka nasa bahay. If you're spending a lot of time at home working, you might want to have yung mobility. And of course, you can use it sa smartphones nyo. The problem with smartphones these days, nawawala na sila na headphone jack. So, it's better to go wireless as, a lot of devices talaga are going wireless na talaga. But yeah, they have pros and cons naman talaga, wired and wireless. I actually use a wired headset when I'm playing games and also pag talagang nakahook ako sa PC. But whenever I am on call like this, also sa parang kailangan ko gumalaw, I need to get some water ganun sa kitchen. I always go for a wireless one.
Okay, how can we make our work from home setup better in order to improve our productivity?
Oh, so first of all, since a lot of us are working from home, so probably a lot of you are using fiber, DSL, ganun sa bahay, naka-wired na tayo sa bahay. It's still better to have a backup internet, especially right now that a lot of us talaga kailangan connected eh. Kailangan sa buong work mo nasa internet ka. It's better to have a backup internet. What I mean is that you can get a portable Wi-Fi. Of course, a smartphone nyo, if you got 5G sa smartphone, that's better. That's a lot better kasi mas mabilis yung speeds. And of course, to improve yung productivity, if you have the money, if you're using a PC or a laptop, you can get another monitor, another keyboard and mouse. Kasi the more monitors you have, the wider the visual you have. So mas marami kang pwedeng patakbong applications. For example, you got Zoom on one monitor and then your notes on the other monitor. So mas maganda yung productivity nyo. Mas mabilis kayo sa workload nyo. And improve yung audio and visual setup talaga. That's the thing talaga na medyo nagkakameron minsan ng miscommunications dahil sa pangit yung mic and pangit yung camera.
Okay, so but you mentioned 5G.
Yes,
can you quickly, I'm going to call someone from Smart PLDT about that because I don't know, maybe I just have to really sit down in front of the computer to understand it. But here in the Philippines, I know Smart and PLDT has 5G. No? Now, what's the advantage? And meron na ba, reliable na ba ang setup? I mean, kasi some people say, oh, available lang yan sa Boracay or sa Cebu or
Mm.
here. What's your experience with 5G?
With 5G, basically naman dito sa Metro Manila, I have parang most of the time I got 5G dito sa Metro Manila. The thing with 5G is that kasi maraming nagre-reklamo bagal yung internet daw nila. But with 5G, you can get really fast internet speeds talaga. Most of the time, pag nasa 5G ako, I'm getting more than 50 Mbps or to 200. So if downloading yung mga games, kasi I'm pretty sure that a lot of people are playing games on their smartphones. Mas mabilis yung download nila. And of course, sa mga calls like this, walang nagiging problema, mas seamless. And yeah, mas maganda yung experience talaga with 5G, and it opens a lot of possibilities. Nasa early stages pa tayo ng 5G. So a lot of possibilities talaga are possible in the future, like IoT products na may 5G, and of course smart cars in the future, mga ganong products.
Okay, and what are your tips in buying work from home gadgets for those who have a tight budget? Meron bang lugar na, kasi a lot of people think, I'll go to Green Hills or I'll go to this mart or whatever commercial complex. What about online? Is it safe, smart to buy online? Kasi ang dami ring reseller ngayon eh.
Yeah, that's true. So marami ring manloloko online. So when you're buying online sa mga e-commerce, it's better to buy doon talaga sa trusted na e-commerce sites. And of course, you should check yung store kung legitimate ba sila, kung okay ba talaga sila, the reviews ng mga bumili na sa kanila. And of course, if you got a tight budget, again, ako personally talagang nag-aantay ako ng flash sales, talagang inaantay ko yung mga sale ng mga products. You got 12, 12, 11, 11, 10, 10, yung mga ganong bagay. As for the equipments and yung mga sinuggest ko kanina and na-mention ko kanina, when you're buying something, be smart about it. Hindi naman kailangan pinakamaganda yung bilhin nyo. Hindi kailangan yung pinakamahal yung bilhin nyo. Just buy something kung ano yung mag-fit doon sa kailangan nyo. Kasi as for me, I have a lot of gadgets, but most of the time, tinitipid ko yung mga cables, chargers, yung mga ganun. Well, not so tipid kasi delikado din. Pero
Yeah.
hindi ako bumibili nung mga pinakamahal na products na meron kasi I'm buying what I need lang talaga. I'm buying kung ano yung kaya ng wallet ko. So
Okay.
as much as possible, I'm being smart about the things that I'm buying.
Okay, well, that about wraps up our interview this morning. And Jam, I have to say, marami pa rin natutunan. And I do hope that, well, I definitely will be calling on you again. And I hope you'll be available kasi I'm sure marami pang tanong ang mga viewers natin regarding all of this. And this is just the beginning for the year. Thank you for joining us and your valuable inputs, Jam.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, and that's our first guest for the morning, Jam Ancheta, Editor-in-Chief of jamonline.ph. And we'll go for a quick break. When we come back, atin pong kapanayamin, walang iba kung hindi ang MMDA Chairman Benhur Abalos dahil po sila ay nanindigan na. Hindi na pwede yung mga walang bakunang gagala-gala. At ito ay para maproteksyonan din sila. Okay, we'll be right back here on Agenda. Welcome back to the program agenda. You're here on channels 8 or 250 via Cignal TV. And at this stage, let's bring in our next guest, none other than the chairman of the Metro Manila Development Authority, Ms. Benhur Abalos. Good morning, Chairman.
Good morning, Cito. Good morning to all the viewers.
Okay, well, I guess there is no going back on the position of the Metro Manila Council. All the mayors have declared that the unvaccinated will not be allowed outdoors. When I shared your announcement yesterday, Chairman, may mga nag-react. This needs explanation. This needs clarification. So I guess that would be the first agenda for our interview. Could you explain exactly how far and how strict this decision will be?
Well, first of all, Cito, I would like to give you the background. No? Let me cite you the figures before they've drafted this this mandate. At that time, we've got 7,838 active cases. And December 19 to January 1, the moving 7-day growth rate is 967%. Imagine, Cito, it's 967%. And previous to that, this was November 21 to December 4 up to 18. They call it the two-week growth rate. It was only negative 51%, negative 51. And then on December 31, it became 285%, coming from negative 51. In just one day, 285% in just one day, in January 1, it became 501%. Imagine that. So the growth is really exponential. And the average daily attack rate from 0.63 became 3.76. It is during this time that the mayors met. Actually, during Christmas, we were already assessing it. We were monitoring these cases. And then they've decided why not enact this mandate, these restrictions, enhanced restrictions. So if I will just read, just browse it thoroughly, it's just actually four. The first is remain in for the unvaccinated, remain in the residences at all times, except for the procurement of essential goods and services, but not limited to food, water, medicine, medical devices, public utilities, energy, work, medical, and dental necessities. Now, they're also allowed, provided that those unvaccinated are allowed individual outdoor exercises within the general area in the residence, within the barangay, the purok, subdivision, or village, subject to the guidelines of the Metro Manila units. So it's almost the same as the ECQ. You're only allowed to go out by essentials. However, for exercises, you're allowed to go out. Number two, be prohibited in indoor and outdoor alfresco dining in restaurants and other food establishments, and shall likewise be prohibited from leisure or social trips to malls, hotels, venues, sports, country clubs, similar facilities in accordance with the guidelines of the Metro Manila local government units and the concerned establishments. Number three, be prohibited in domestic travel via public transportation by land, by sea, and by air, except for the procurement of essential goods and services such as, but not limited to, food, water, medicine, medical devices, public utilities, energy, work, medical, and dental necessities, subject to the production of proof to support and justify such travel. And the last one will be for workers who are unvaccinated. Be required to undergo a reverse RT-PCR test every 2 weeks at their personal expense and present a COVID-19 negative result prior to being admitted to work on-site and consistent with the guidelines, rules, and regulations issued by the IATF and DOLE. Okay, so in the event, however, that the RT-PCR are not immediately available, a rapid antigen may be utilized in lieu thereof. This number 4 is just a reiteration of the IATF resolution. No? So, however, there is also a proviso here that this resolution shall be enforced in effect while the COVID-19 alert is in the NCR is in alert level number 3. So such that if we go down to a lesser level, Cito, let's say level 2 or 1, it will automatically okay, so it shall only be enforced only duly alert level 3.
Okay, so okay. Now, Chairman, how are you going to implement this? How are the mayors going to implement this? And when? Kailan ba ito ipapatupad? Kasi pag pinapakinggan ko yung mga balita sa radyo, sa telebisyon, parang ang issue right now is hindi pa pwede kasi wala pang mga ini-issue'ng mga ordinances ang mga Metro Manila mayors individually.
Well, tama sila, Cito, because the Metro Manila Council by itself, no, we have no lawmaking powers, no. Ang lawmaking power nito ay nasa mga konsihal ng bawat local government unit, no. So this is just a resolution that each and every LGU now who signed this document will issue a uniform ordinance, no. So ginagawa na yan ng bawat local government unit.
Okay, I know, Chairman, that the MMDA and of course the Metro Manila Council do not make this decision ng bara-bara or haphazard or in panic. I know that you have a consultative group of doctors, experts, etc. Perhaps it would help if people really know the real picture. Kasi itong alert level 3 is only valid up to January 15. But based on what you have mentioned, base dun sa mga sinabi mong datos na 900% increase, etc., meron bang discovery or concern ng inyong mga consultants at expert na this is just the beginning of a really bad situation?
Well, it could be, Cito, no? It could be. Actually, ang silver lining lang dito is most of the cases that we are now monitoring, no, halos sipon, ubo lang, no, very mild and asymptomatic. In fact, dito sa amin sa Mandaluyong, I was able to look at the records. Halos lahat asymptomatic at very mild lang, no, wala namang masyado. However, and this is a big however, nakatanggap ako ng text galing sa kaibigan ko sa isang malaking ospital. Ang sabi niya, ang apektado rin ang health workers nila. No, yung mga doktor, mga nurses, dahil nga it's highly infectious, pati mga health workers na naahawa. So kailangan mag-adjust din sila dito sa sitwasyon eh. So ang ginawa na lang namin dito sa ng mga Metro Manila, naka-align pa rin kami sa IATF. Remember, it is IATF who will tell us, is it level 3, is it level 2, is it level 4, no, IATF.
Yeah.
So ang ITF naman, binabase yan, of course, average daily attack rate, active cases, and including the hospital care utilization. No? Maraming elements po yan sa alert level. So ang sa amin, hanggat alert level 3, ito, i-impose muna namin to. Until such time, siguro, dahil nga ito yung nagawa namin ngayon, siguro bandang huli, marirefine din natin ito. There are some good points, there are some bad points, but we must remember where we are coming from. No? We are coming from the fact na talaga exponential ang growth. We must really do something about things. So ito po yung produkto po ng mga mayors.
Did I read the news right, Chairman, that there are approximately 100 to 200,000 unvaccinated in the entire Metro Manila? Ganun lang ba kaliit yung bilang na yan?
Well, it's just an approximation. No, we cannot definitely tell kung ilan. No, it's just an approximation, Cito. Kasi ang lumalabas sa data namin, halos 105% yung iba, more than 100. But we must remember, no, ang Metro Manila is very porous eh. Meaning we've got, of course, yung kababayan natin, galing sa Bulacan, sa Rizal, sa Cavite, yung mga immediate neighbors, they go in and out, and we have been vaccinating before even our workers in Metro Manila. So nangyayari yun, we might be vaccinating people, pero yung tiga Metro Manila itself, baka may mga naiiwan pa.
Okay, now what about vaccination or the availability of vaccination? Kasi syempre ngayong naghigpit, I remember last year early in the fourth quarter nung may kumalat na chismis na pag wala kang bakuna hindi ka papalabasin. 4,000, 5,000 ang mga pumila nagpapabakuna, di ba? So now
Yes.
are we going to have vaccination centers at the ready para dito sa mga magpapanic vaccine?
Sito, wala namang problema, no? In fact, napakaraming bakuna ngayon even for boosters, at gusto ko lang ipaalala sa iba, before it used to be 6 months ang waiting time natin, no? 6 na buwan. Ngayon po ay 3 buwan na lang. So, mabilisan po ito. Lahat ng local government unit ay may mga vaccination area pa rin, may mga booster shots, and even for the kids, no? Andiyan pa rin po yan. Metro Manila is prepared for this, for all of these things, the manpower and the vaccines. Napakarami po.
Okay, that's good news, Chairman. Now, ang tanong ng iba naman, what about the actual application or imposition nitong no vax, no entry? Saan ba masasala yung mga unvaccinated? Sa mga restaurants lang, malls lang ba? Kasi sa Iloilo, merong 16 teachers nung nag-report for duty, send back to quarter. Sabi nung principal, sorry, there is a DepEd regulation now, no vaccination, no entry. Dito sa Metro Manila, ano ba ang napag-usapang way of applying this new mandate?
Well, kung titignan natin ang nakalagay po dito, no, napakasimple. Yung unvaccinated, number 1, should always remain in the residence at all times except to buy essential goods. Napakaklaro po no?
So,
sa bahay ka muna. No?
Pasensya ka na, Chairman,
Yes, sir.
papasok-pasok lang ako. Kasi okay, kasi sinabi ninyo, we are aligned with the IATF. I remember when we imposed this stay-at-home order, nag-issue ng parang shopping pass ba yun? Yung mga barangay, parang designated buyer card, di ba? Okay, isang tao ang designated buyer. Are we going to, kasi yung mga unvaccinated, pamilya rin, Chairman eh.
Well, ganito po yan, no, Sito. Ang mangyayari kasi, at ito'y a reminder for everyone, starting today, we should always bring with us our vaccination card and an identification ID. Just so we could validate. Importante po yan. So yung mga walang ID, yan ang tatanungin ngayon. Bakit nasa yung vaccination card mo, nasa yung ID mo? So ang presumption, unvaccinated ka. So you must now show proof here. Otherwise, talagang pauuwiin ka. Unless you show things na yung nakasaad dito ay talagang gagawin mo. You're going to buy essential goods, etc., or you're going to work, no, na nakalagay rin dito na kung pupunta ka lamang trabaho, RT-PCR naman ang kailangan, no? Yung dati sa IATF, etc. At of course, denied. Bawal ka rin kumain sa restaurant, even al fresco, dahil napag-usapan, very vulnerable, wala kang mask, no?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Paano yung mga sasakay sa bus? Kasi yesterday, ewan ko, baka mistake in application lang yon. May pamilya, hindi na pinasakay. Sabi, wala kayong card. Sorry, umuwi na kayo. Pinabawal na. What will be the rule with the MRT, with the carousel buses, or even with jeepneys? Kailangan bang may box card o wala?
Well, kailangan may box card talaga, no? Kasi lumalabas kayo dito na talagang be prohibited in domestic travel via public transportation by land, sea, and air, except for the procurement of essential goods and services such as but not limited to food, water, medicine, medical devices, public utilities, energy, work, medical and dental necessities, subject to the production of proof to support and justify such travel.
Okay. Pasensya ka na, Chairman, kasi alam ko binasa mo na yan, inuulit ko lang yung mga tanong kasi siyempre alam mo naman ng mga tao, they will ask for clarification or they won't fully understand when you're reading a memo. Now, you said subject to, parang ang exemption kung bibili ng essential goods. Now, do we limit them to their barangay? do we limit them to their city? Kasi kung wala ka naman makapakitang RT-PCR, no travel ka. Kung wala kang antigen, no travel ka kahit sabihin mo magtatrabaho ka. But yung pagbili ng mga bagay-bagay, because some people will say, limitado ka na lang sa barangay mo kasi yung barangay naman natin malalaki at lahat yan may mga tawag nito supermarket, may mga grocery at saka mga hardware. Yung bang hardware kasama?
Essential.
Okay.
Well, mahirap naman siguro kung tiga Mandaluyong ako tapos bibili pa ako na essential sa Bulacan pa o sa ibang lugar. I mean, that's very obvious talaga, mamamasyal ka lang, no? So, I mean, it's case to case eh. Siguro yung nagsisitay sa iyo, tama ka, you've got a point there, doon ka na sa pinakamalapit na bibilan mo, no? Pero sa ating mga nanonood po ngayon, we should always remember kung saan po tayo nanggagaling. Nanggagaling tayo na may crisis tayo ngayon na talagang nakakahawa at karamihan na tinatamaan at masama ang tama ay yung mga walang bakuna. In a way, it's a protection for them. Pero wag sila mag-alala. Once we go back to level 2, okay, automatic wala na po ito. No? That is what I would really like to emphasize.
Okay, that's good. Now, there's a question here. The unvaccinated are allowed to go to work as long as they get tested, but they cannot take public transportation, or pag pinakita nila yung RT-PCR nila, pwede sila?
Well, it could be one of the exceptions, no? Kasi ang nakalagay dito, babasahin ko lang. Be prohibited in domestic travel, public transportation by land, sea, air, except for the procurement of essential goods and services such as but not limited to food, water, medicine, medical devices, energy, and work, and medical and dental necessities. So
Okay,
they can, as long as they show na magkatrabaho sila, dali nila yung ID po nila for the work.
Okay, now what about in terms of monitoring? Sino ang magbabantay? Who will be doing the checks or spot checks? Because clearly you said sa mga malls, sa mga tindahan, yung trabaho na ng mga owners and security yon, or sa restaurants. Pero paano yung mga gagala-gala dyan? Kasi alam mo naman, siguro pag ang ibon nakalabas na ng kulungan, mahirap ibalik.
Okay. Before I answer the question, yung sa trabaho kanina, yung public transport, papakita mo lang dito is yung RT-PCR mo rin kailangan. Kasi required dito na dapat may RT-PCR ka every 2 weeks. Of course, wala kang vaccination card na may papakita eh. Papakita mo kung saan ka magtatrabaho, pakita mo yung ID mo and the RT-PCR. Ngayon, yung tanong mo naman ngayon dahil sa, of course, napakalawak nito, Cito, hindi na biro ito. No? Ito yung alos lahat na lang. Ito yung pagtutulungan lang ng local government unit, of course, the private, and even the police. No? Kaya nga, we're trying to coordinate right now with our, kumuha na nga sila ng kopya, with our NCRPO para makatulungan na rin tayo rito. At para klaro ang implementation nito.
So is it correct to assume that the checkpoints are going to be back in place? Kasi that is one way of making sure. Kasi nakita ko ang ganda ng ginawang trabaho ng police during the time of General Eliazar when he was the task force commander. Talagang hinahanapan ka ng identification and proof of authority to travel.
Well, it could be, no? It could be that we could have these random checkpoints, no? We will discuss these things with the NCRPO para na makita ng publiko that we are really serious in these things.
Okay, now in terms of public health or mga nabanggit mo kasi kanina, Chairman, na marami ng mga hospital o yung mga healthcare workers na naapektuhan. What is the situation for Metro Manila? Are we still is it still manageable or medyo critical na rin ang ating facilities?
Well, it's a good question, Cito, no? And I would like to remind our viewers right now that please do not panic. Alam natin, this is highly infectious, marami mga nakakasakit, and the first thing everyone would ever do is immediately go to the hospitals, no? So maski mapunta ka sa ospital, nakikita naman na ospital na hindi naman ganun ka-serious. So yung iba ay pinapauwi lang at yung iba dadala sa isolation center. the key here is talagang wag lang tayo magsiksikan talaga sa ospital hangga't hindi kailangan. No? That is really the key here. Sa ngayon po, what is important is we are now prepared with, of course, our test kits sa local government units, our contact tracers, our isolation centers. Kasi Cito, tumagal eh. Dati, kamukha sa amin sa Mandaluyong, ang kaso iisa lang, dalawa. Ngayon, ang new cases, 67 na eh. So yung ibang isolation centers mo, sinarado mo na. Ngayon, the local government units have to reopen these isolation centers. But the key here will always be the contact tracers. No? Ang nangyari pa dito is that end of the year, nag-expire yung contracts. No? Nag-expire yung contracts galing sa Department of Labor, galing sa DILG, at galing sa Department of Health. So mabuti na lang, tinulungan kami ni Secretary Bello at sinabi niya, Chairman, yung pong 5,775 na binabigay, tinutulong ng Department of Labor through TUPAD, they call it TUPAD program, as our contact tracers, na-renew po ng Department of Labor. No? At yun naman sa DILG, because of the budget legalities, tinitingnan po nila, and there is an assurance also from Sec Anyo na i-renew po ito at case Sec Duque. So lahat po ito ay even before, I think it was December 25 or 26, inayos na po namin para smooth lang po ito.
Okay, well, thank you, Chairman Benhur Abalos, and we pray that you will have the strength, the wisdom, and may God protect all of your forces kasi we are in this for the long haul. God bless you, sir.
Thank you. Mag-ingat po tayong lahat. Salamat, Cito.
Okay, that's Chairman Benhur Abalos of the Metro Manila Development Authority, and I for one would appeal kung kayo po ay unvaccinated, para na po sa inyong ikalalagay sa kaayusan, kabutihan, please stay home. It's not worth the hassle, the stress of having to argue with people, having to be challenged, and risking yourselves. Yung pong mga kaibigan ko sa Bible study ko, kahapon, 4 na po ang humihingi ng dasal at tulong. This has never happened to us before. This new wave is something different. I don't want to scare you, but I want you to take it seriously. Okay, let's close the program with our daily blessing. And our daily blessing, or our last, Here we go. And we know that in all things, God works for the good of those who love Him, who have been called according to His purpose. I hope that you will stay safe, stay healthy, and stay strong in the Lord. I'm Cito Beltran, thanking you for joining us here on Agenda. Please keep it here on One News PH.